And good morning. This is things you might have heard for Thursday, the 3rd of August, 2023. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne, and what I'm going to provide for you in just a moment are 8 top stories that you told us were most conversational. We took the top 15 stories from the past day, and we'll go explain how that works out, and picked 8 of those stories to give to you in this presentation. Today, we're going to do something a little different. We've done some little changes this week in more of the breaking stuff because the breaking stuff is sort of there. And we're going to add sort of a segment on errors and omissions, although it's not quite here in the slides yet, because this sort of came up on a big story that we're not talking about that we probably should be, but you did not deem it in the range. We'll explain that when we get to the teaser story and the range and the feeds and all that stuff like that. But for right now, yes, if you're watching the video and you see the teaser graphic, we are talking about the separation of the Trudeaus plus 7 other stories that you deemed as conversational for this morning. Get more details about what we do at this service for things you might have heard, and of course, the Conversation Project at this is theconversationproject.com. Recorded live at 5:50 a.m. every single weekday morning, so you'll hear the gaps in the audio and see some of the blanks going forward. So bear with us for that. We do our best to give you the best news we can because you help us do that news. Let's get into those stories right now. As we said, today is Thursday, August the 3rd, 2023. The stories for today, this morning, start off with this headline at our first spot. Anna Navarro flees Montana apartment with older man overnight. Now, this was the top story that from our responses from you yesterday, and this was probably one that's really necessary to talk about, although it is a bit confusing as a few days ago we talked about Anna Navarro returning back home, essentially walking to a police station saying, "I'm not a missing person," after being missing for about 4 years. Now, the more or less story on this very quickly is she went to the police station to ask to be taken off the list as a missing person because she's 18 and she wanted to get a driver's license, and that was impossible as a missing person. If she didn't exist, she couldn't get a driver's license. Now, people believe that she was essentially taken away or lured away by some adults. What happened here is she left Montana. She leaves the city where she lives with an adult in an apartment where she was staying with the older man for a while. There is no actual identification of the man per se. That was given into the article, but check the article for deeper details and keep listening to the story. Now, her mother, a few days ago we talked about, asked for some peace and quiet and just civility as they worked out the issues. Apparently the issues are still being worked out in this story. As salacious as it is to be something interesting, there's also a family involved. So let's hope this is not quite as weird and odd as the last missing teen we found a few weeks ago, but we are giving some prayers for this young lady and the entire family that we get some sort of resolution and it comes out on the good side. Now we're going to give our talk to the Trudeaus. Um, oh, okay. So we're just going to give up on the actual slides because apparently we did not do the slides. So let's go to the full screen. Apologies for you if you're watching on the if you're listening to the audio not understanding what's going on. We're going to go do a little backup in just a second. Producing on air is always fun. We're just going to go to the date slide. And just leave the date up there for Thursday, August the 3rd, 2023. The next headline is Justin Trudeau separating from his wife, Sophie Grégoire. I'm butchering that, but we'll just say his wife, Sophie. The Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, and his wife are separated after 18 years of marriage. They have 3 children together and have signed a legal separation agreement. So this isn't just like I'm going to live in the house. They basically have put this stuff into legal papers to make it happen. Trudeau's wife and children have played an important part in his role as a political career, showing that he's a family man. He can get things done and take care of his family and be there for his kids. And so the image that Trudeau is a great guy with a great wife and great kids is a bit tarnished right now. His image as a prime minister also tarnished right now, so that's a problem there. We'll see how this thing plays out going forward. They met in Montreal in 2002 and were married about 3 years later. The role in the family, has been a part of Trudeau's story. We'll see how it plays going forward. The next story is Carlee Russell's Saga, Alabama working to draft law making lying to police a felony. What does that mean? Well, as we hear from all the Donald Trump talk, lying to people is not a crime. You can lie to anybody you want to as long as the lie is not really a part of committing a crime. You can say, oh, I don't believe this, and truly believe something. But if you say, oh, I don't believe that, so I'm not going to do this thing, and you do it anyway, that's the problem. Carlee Russell, of course, lied to police in her police report. Filing a false report is a misdemeanor. It's not a felony. But apparently we're going into the overreach, over-adjusting, over-fixing by making lying a felony for things like this. Is this necessary? Well, some people may say yes, because it would be a deterrent to lie to police. However, people who lie to police don't care if it's a misdemeanor or a felony, they're going to lie anyway. So is this a matter of, is it really worthy of something that may be a minor thing in some case that turns to a felony, or in this case, a really big deal where you can probably get a felony out of some other charge? We shall see as this case continues. No resolution on this, other than the fact that they have charged her with a couple things. Nothing's gone through forward, and she really hasn't really explained the whole details yet. Let's talk about this next one. We're talking about Lizzo again. As a filmmaker said, she walked away from doing a documentary on her because she was arrogant. Now, we know from a few days ago where some backup singers have filed lawsuits against Lizzo for a lot of things, including sexual harassment, religious harassment, all sorts of things, basically saying that Lizzo may look like a cuddly, nice person on screen when she's doing her interviews and doing her videos and being body positive. But she actually is kind of a bitch, and a bit of a very, very, very intense businesswoman. And that's what essentially this director did. The director's name is Sophia Nahil Allison, and she wrote in a statement that the singer was arrogant, self-centered, and unkind, left after essentially a day of following her in working on a thing, or 2 weeks after beginning working on a documentary, because she just felt like she was being gaslit and lied to the whole time. We're finding more about Lizzo and more about other stars. This is a thing that happens when you finally get famous, finally make it through, finally break through that cast, if you will. And people have to go through the dirt, because there always is dirt. Unfortunately, there's usually bigger dirt that people want to get to and stuff that can't be blown over. We'll see how Lizzo will work through this issue and what will become of her. Very talented, seeming like a very positive person. On the back end, we're seeing these things. Now, once we found out that Taylor Swift is actually, beating up her background singers, we had a story about her actually paying her drivers extra money, then we know that this whole thing is all a big sham. Right now, it's one more famous person, one more hero that we're disappointed in. I don't think we're disappointed in Cardi B, but we are really following this really small little thing because the person involved is making it a bigger thing. Now, the lady who threw the drink on Cardi B on stage while she was performing in Vegas, and Cardi B then threw the microphone at her, has filed a complaint with the police. She filed a report of battery against Cardi B, throwing something in a large, heavy object at her off stage. Unfortunately, Las Vegas police told the Insider, that's where we pulled this story, that no arrests or citations have been issued, i.e., they don't care. So, why is this lady doing what she's doing? For the same reason she thought she can throw a drink at Cardi B at a party and get away with it, because she thought it was cool. Obviously, Cardi B ain't having that. Las Vegas police ain't having that. People just need to chill. The next story. Gilgo Beach serial killing suspect Rex Heuermann gets first 2,500 pages of evidence in case. Still insists police got the wrong guy, which is what you do when you're trying to get off for murder. 2,500 pages of evidence is recorded against this guy for 2, maybe 3 murders. So far as I remember, they can only catch 2 of the murders to him. Maybe this third one is kind of related to it, and other ones are being looked at various places where he tended to hang out. He appeared in court on New York on Tuesday. He says he's not the guy. He says he's not the guy. I misstated. So the 3 murders that he's charged with, and they suspect him of a 4th that they can think is very close to this one. And as we said, they're looking at some other places where he visited where things look very similar, and seeing they can charge him in some other places as well. Beijing records heaviest rainfall in at least 140 years, causing severe flooding and 21 deaths. Now, we have stories posting on about climate change, basically saying that all this heat, all this craziness, all this going on would not happen if it weren't for some sort of noticeable and measurable climate change. People who are saying that climate change isn't real don't understand that, about ice ages and dinosaurs and things like that. They happen. They come around in waves. They usually take a whole lot of time to actually do anything to literally kill up off of civilization, kill us in general. And so that's why it's something that doesn't really know. The dinosaurs weren't really actually taking tally of the temperatures at the time. They don't have hands, so that's hard for them to do. But over time, things happen. And over time, the climate has gotten warmer, or climate has changed. The planet has gotten warmer, and a lot of this comes to the people, the humans, because we have hands, and we have had a hand in doing this. We also can have a hand in maybe not reversing so much, but slowing it down and making it better. It has to be addressed. And finally, with all the technical gaps we had this week, let's end today, at least the news part today, with one bit of news that's, I guess, happy. We always wonder at the end of The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, the ABC reality show about one guy or one gal dating 25 folks at a time, which seems a little odd, but people watch it. Let's talk about former Bachelorette Gabby Windey, who comes out on ABC's The View, live on national television for everyone to see, that she's dating a woman. Yes, Windey came out on The View the other day saying, "Hi, I was on The Bachelorette. I had a chance to get all these hot guys, and I'm gay." It pretty much worked that way. She thought The View was a safe space to come out, and her family is supportive. So she told the world, I guess she needed to do that. She posted a picture of herself and her Instagram and a girlfriend on Instagram, so it's not like this was a secret all that big. But why she had to go to The View? I guess they were tired of beating up on Trump and those folks, guys, so they had to do something different. Now, by the way, this is not a new phenomenon. Colton Underwood, that sweet, sexy guy, came out as gay in 2021, and Demi Burnett came out as bisexual as well after her run on The Bachelorette. So, The Bachelor and The Bachelorette makes you gay? But any cool ones on this one right now. So, one thing I wanted to address today, and it's going back to a few days ago, we had an extra story in this mix that I threw in literally because I felt like it, where the U.S. women had a draw in their game against Portugal, so they were going to the round of 16. Because of the timing of it, literally was happening as I was typing things up. I put it in there, I added it to the list. It worked out fairly well for the news, and it did actually rank in with what it ranked in for the day in the next day in the feeds. We'll talk about that in a moment. However, it would have been kind of old news, and we would have talked about it literally since it happened so early in the morning for us as we do this live in the morning. I'm noting that we did talk about the Gilgo Beach guy because he was engaging. We talked about Anna Navarro again because that story was extremely engaging. We're not talking about the Tree of Life Synagogue, as that defendant in that case has been sentenced to life in prison. And we'll see today, I guess we'll put in today whether the judge actually holds up to that, and we'll see if that response comes in. We pick the top 15 stories of a day, and within a day about 30 to 35 stories are posted based on how we keep up our schedule. We try to post one every 50 minutes or so inside of the day. So it's basically midnight to about 4 a.m. in the morning here as I'm working this thing. So 29, 30 hours a day. We get about 30 to 35 in that mix if we don't miss some times. The story on the Tree of Life Synagogue and the man getting sentenced to life wasn't anywhere near the top 15. And so that's a very big story that we're not covering only for here. We're added in here. So we're going to add a section on errors, omissions, and last minute things that won't go into deep detail, but things that really seem like they're important, because sometimes I'm looking for stories to make the mix and they don't. So apologies for, number one, having the gaffes, so I had to go back and figure out how to get the stories back in line and tell you that. So I apologize for not getting those slides right for the people watching, and the people listening have to deal with listening to that. And number two, we're going to start doing this errors and omissions. We'll figure out what we're going to call it to throw in some last minute things so it doesn't throw off the timeline what's going forward. We have a lot of things in the timeline, a lot of things planned going on. Hate to be producing on air, but we're doing good things, I think are good things. And of course, you can engage with us by going to your email machine and emailing us at the conversation inbox at gmail.com. Now, back to more or less scheduled stuff. We do have a teaser story. I do have to scroll back to find it, though, so bear with me on that one. The teaser story for this morning deals with, actually, I guess we don't have a teaser story because everything's out of line. So we're going to go back to full screen. I'm going to tell you what the teaser story is. And so we'll try to do our best with that one. The teaser story is a story from CNN, and it is that Disney is going to essentially destroy the DEI programs, diversity, education, and inclusion programs in Florida because of the districts being taken over by essentially a board that's run by folks that love DeSantis. So the governing district in Florida is going to get rid of the DEI programs that Disney has, which is part of this, DeSantis's fight against woke mind virus and things like that. Because of the total lack of candor and loss of control for today, and now we're running late at this point, we're going to give you that and to explain what happens with that. If you're watching the video, you can still see the scroll that has the feeds on it. If you're not watching the video, our feeds are our links on Twitter/X and Facebook. Go to facebook.com/This Is the Conversation Project and twitter.com or x.com/th_conversation. When you go to those websites and go to our links there, we are posting news stories about every 50 minutes to engage in. And they are stories that some of them are pretty wild, pretty crazy. Some of them are extremely straight up mainstream stories from the sources you know, and some you don't love so much. So you get a chance to engage in the story and tell us what we talk about. We take the top 15 stories on Tuesday through Friday, and we pick 8 of those to present to you. And going tomorrow, we'll have the omissions part. We'll figure out how that's going to work out going forward. On Mondays, we give you 10 stories because we pick 4 from 3 days. From Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and a little bit of Monday morning. So we have a wider range of stories to pick from. So we pick a couple extra and get them in there. You tell us what to talk about every single morning by going to the websites and telling us how that works out on the Conversation Project. Now, we also have a sponsors section here, and today we're going to talk about the sponsor, and that sponsor happens to be AppSumo. If you are a small business or a person who's into development, AppSumo could be a great way to drain your bank account fairly quickly. AppSumo offers up great apps and great programs, great training sites for you to get yourself into gear. There are often things that are on the verging edge of new stuff. They're often type things that are sort of like the big time guys, but because they're getting in new customers, they're pretty much often lifetime deals or great deals for the first year of service. There are many things I have bought on lifetime deals, including some things I use for my editing. Evernote was once one of their lifetime deals way back when. You may know how that thing works. So if you want to get in on some great apps at a great deal right now, mostly lifetime locked in deals, go to this. It's theconversationproject.com/AppSumo. This is theconversationproject.com/AppSumo. This is conversationproject.com/AppSumo, AppSumo. You can visit our sponsors page anytime you like and see many of our other sponsors, but AppSumo is the one that we are targeting and we are sponsoring, we are pushing on this Thursday. So check them out and tell Uncle Noah that Jay Cleveland sent you. He will say what's up and you'll be instantly a part of the family. We also have some time we do here that we promote ourselves. And so if this were a better day where things actually worked, it'd be a better banner day for promoting what we have. But we do have our main website, which is This Is the Conversation Project, or yes, .com. That's what it is. This is conversationproject.com. And if you go there, you can see better editions of what we produce. Sometimes they're much better. Sometimes we have some worse editions. This one's pushing for the worst, but we're going to push through this anyway. You will see what we have there, and we have great presentations of what we have for you. We have this thing here, which is usually better. We have the weekend shows, which gives you the weekend views. We have various things we post on various other social media sites, including TikTok and YouTube Shorts. Find our links, find our stuff, find our newsletter, and find what's going on. Normally, we do a better job of promoting our partnerships program. We're just going to say it, leave it right here, because maybe you're going to have some pity on us and say, yeah, he does need some help. But if you like what we're actually doing on a consistent basis and think you are a person that wants to help us out go further, the partnerships program is there. Go to this. It's theconversationproject.com/partnerships and see if there's a way that we can hook up and connect together. And if today is a bad showing, give us tomorrow. We'll do better. I promise. I promised some fun stuff, so I'm going to say it here. So at least for the podcast folks, you can hear it, and for the folks watching, you won't be able to see it, but just will go along with it as well. Happy birthday wishes going out to Lisa Ann Walter, 60 years old, of course, made famous now for being one of the stars of Abbott Elementary. She is extremely happy about her fame now and is not taking her time in spotlight for granted. She says she spent a lot of time just sort of being down on herself and thinking she didn't really have what it took to be an actress. And now that she's seeing that come to fruition, she is essentially celebrating every single day and not taking anything for granted going forward. Michael Early is 50 years old on the day, the blue-eyed devil that he is. Old steely-eyed, good-looking guy. Hate that guy. But he's 50 years old today, so happy birthday, Michael Early. I still hate you. Tom Brady. Don't hate him, but he's also really successful and one of those guys that most people do kind of hate, or they really want to be him because he, all he does is date supermodels and have kids with supermodels and win stuff and buy stuff and look pretty damn good looking, I guess. 46 years old for Tom Brady, who apparently now has bought a stake in a Premier League soccer league or overseas soccer league. Apparently what you do when you retire from football is you buy football clubs over in across the pond. That's what you do. We do a history lesson every single morning, and we start off in 1492 on the 3rd of August. This is the day, about a half hour before sunrise, Christopher Columbus literally set sail on the ocean blue. He set sail from Palos, Spain, on a voyage that took him to present-day America. Of course, he thought he was going to thought he was going to China, going to the Indies. Ended up in what was America. In 1971, Paul McCartney announced the formation of a new band called Wings. This is where the joke began where, hey, did you know Paul McCartney was on the band before Wings? Although, for anyone now, pretty much everybody knows the Beatles, but no one knows anything about Wings. They did Live and Let Die. That's their basically their calling card. And in 1977, after building and testing 25 units, Radio Shack issued a press release introducing the TRS-80 computer. Within weeks, the company had thousands of orders. This is one of the very first home computers that was made for literally mass production. Back in 77, believe it or not, computers were a big deal. There still was no internet or viable internet. There still was no actual connectivity. Everything was in monochrome black and white. Printers weren't even a big thing, and of course the mouse wasn't even popular till the middle 80s. Believe it or not, the mouse wasn't a thing till, yes, they had to add the peripheral for the mouse. But the computer revolution, at least on a scale that was good for consumers, you can say it basically started on a day like today, the 1977, when the TRS-80 computer was released. A little too young for TRS-80. Our first computer at home was the Apple IIe, and it was something. Let's just say it was something. So today we celebrate on August 3rd. We have a celebration day. We do things like that, and we have today Grab Some Nuts Day. And trust me, when I first picked this out at the beginning of the week, when I was setting things out, it seemed like a much better idea on Saturday to make today Grab Your Nuts Day. I didn't make it that day. I just chose that day to celebrate. But hey, Grab Some Nuts Day. The nuts you choose to grab are all up to you. We're going to keep it at that so that we don't get the E rating. But yeah, grab some nuts. I'm grabbing honey roasted peanuts. Your mileage or your nuts may vary. And one more thing to talk about for today. We do one more fact that we do. It usually is there. You can read along with it, so that makes it more engaging. But we're going to talk about the new month that is August, or 3 months into this new month. And this is the month where you prepare for getting a new baby, or babies are essentially born. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, not sure why they're doing this study, but they say that August is the most popular month for babies. And July is the second. So go back 9 months. That means all that love making back in November and September for some reason, I guess because it's getting cooler, that's bringing you your August and July babies. And that's it. I am done. This has been one of the more fractured versions of things you might have heard, but if you made your way through this, thank you for being a trooper. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for sticking around for what we usually have as a more polished thing. I guess it might be because we're trying to try so many things, throw things in the mix, and it's been a very long week and things happening that it is what it is. We're going to try to bow away gracefully, remind you that our feeds are on Facebook and Twitter. If you follow those feeds, you can be a part of the show and help us pick out what we're talking about every single day we produce this. We're working towards a Friday, which means we're working towards the weekend shows. We'll explain those more in detail tomorrow. And of course, go to our website. This is conversationproject.com for details on how the weekly wrap up and the story of the week work out. You can get that to there. We're going to say, as we always say, we can't miss this one. Stay limber, stay hydrated, stay on task. Those are the words we say to remind you that life is very important and very long if you keep it that way. So do your best to extend your life by doing things to make sure you're going to be around for not just to watch very poorly done internet shows on the news, but to be there for all your friends and families going forward. We will do some additions and do some tweaking and have some sort of formal banner, assuming I can actually load the slides properly, for tomorrow with the errors and omissions, so we can get in more news more quickly and kind of be relevant without having to wait the full day for anything being lost. With that, I'm Jay Cleveland Payne saying thank you so much for mercifully sticking with us for this thing. We're going to do it again, and we're going to do it. I know yesterday I promised much better today, and it didn't work out, but trust me, tomorrow, much, much better at this thing.